What's up, fam? This is Vic from Cutz Premium Lawn Care here in Conyers, Georgia. Well, basically today I want to discuss something with you real quick. You need to understand your positions that you're hiring for and the wages, and be able to identify or describe that position. Real quick, guys, fam, I have 4 positions: Line Tech 1, Line Tech 2, and Line Tech 3, and Crew Chief. Now, each of those positions requires different duties, and it has a different pay scale for each. That way, when your workers or somebody who you're hiring saying, "Hey, man, can I get a raise?" you should be able to say, "Hey, can you do these things?" For example, Line Tech 1 is an entry position. It's an entry position. It requires no experience, but the person has to be able to operate or willing to operate a weed eater. You're going to teach them how to use the weed eater, and believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, they don't know how to use a weed eater if they're a Line Tech 1 or entry level Line Tech. Basically, my description basically says this: that Line Tech 1 is able to operate a weed eater, use it in the capacity where Quick Cutz will have them to use it, and also be taught how to use a stick edger and a blower. That's a Line Tech 1. Now, Line Tech 2 is someone who can do all the things that Line Tech 1 can do. Here's the difference. Line Tech 2 gets a $1 increase, and Line Tech 2 is able to train someone else on the weed eater and the procedures or how the weed eater is supposed to be used. Now, everyone knows that I have a way of how I like my yard services for my clients. Now, we have 2 names when it comes to positions. One name in the position is called primary, and then secondary. My guys understand what primary means, and they understand what secondary means. They need to be able to articulate that back to me, and also be able to tell me, if you had to train me on how using that weed eater in our system, what I need to do. If they're able to do that, guess what? They are now officially a Line Tech 2. That means they know how to operate not only the weed eater, they can tell me how to use the weed eater in the system and teach someone else. Believe it or not, that is a system that you need to develop in order to help yourself when it comes to paying people more money. Just don't pay them more money just to be paying them more money and they doing the same job. They should be doing something different to add some form of value to your business. Now, when it comes to Line Tech 3, not only can they use the weed eater, not only can they use the blower, the stick edger, etc., Line Tech 3 is a person who can now, guess what? Use the mower. They are able to use the mower, meaning that they can get on the mower, cut yards efficiently enough to where you can let them service a client's yard. Now, to help you out, they should be practicing this when they're Line Tech 2. You should teach them something that they can look forward to doing and getting paid for. So I say, hey, if you're able to, use them more, and you can cut grass, and we're gonna give you another $1 increase. And then we'll train them how to do it. We'll train them how to do that. This help you when it comes to your guys wanting more money and more pay. They have to bring something to the table. Don't just be giving guys more money because it's hot as hell. It's hot as hell anyway. You need to help me. So that means now I ain't got to worry about somebody knowing how to cut grass, and you can cut grass when someone don't show up who typically cut the grass. Yes, I will pay you more money. And then the last thing is the crew chief. A crew chief, not only can they do the weed eater, not only can they do the blowers, not only can they cut grass, but they can train everybody on every piece of equipment efficiently to where it is done the right way. And here's the last tip on the crew chief. Crew chief has to monitor all of the clients' service. Like for example, we use Yard Book. That's their responsibility to make sure the work is completed right the way it's supposed to be completed. So like I was saying, so a crew chief, that person is in charge of the other two people. I run a 3-man crew. Now what their responsibility is to check off the list, make sure the work is done. They make sure everything is done correctly in the yard. Now, one of the things that I believe in, if you're a crew chief or someone in a leadership role, it is not for you to do all the work. It is not for you to do all the work. Most of the time, people believe once you become a leader, your job is to make sure you got to do everything. No, your job is to put people in a position to help you grow. So if I'm crew chief and I know that it's my job to make sure we're cutting the right house, I make my crew understand, hey, we need to do this together. You need to make sure that we're cutting the right house. You know, when the guys are driving the truck, the crew chief normally drives the truck. Well, he needs to make sure that the route is right. Well, guess what? If everyone's sitting in the truck chilling and the crew chief got to do all that by himself, there's a good chance he may miss something. That way, you always get somebody in the truck that's in training to become who you are. The way you do it is say, hey, man, I want you to become a crew chief, man. So here's some of the things that I have to do. Help me along, and I'm going to train you how to do it and make sure we do it right. And then that person who is being trained to be a crew chief has somebody below them and say, hey, man, I'm going to teach you how this works when it comes to cutting grass. I mean, I cut grass, but I'm gonna teach you, or I'm gonna train you on that. This is some of the things, here's some of the ideas. Let the people who don't cut grass put the mower on the truck. Train them how to crank it. Hey, crank the mower up for me, man, and put it on the truck for me. Those are the things that I try to teach my guys, so I won't have this, I guess, this revolving when I get paid more money. When we see that you can help us, and when someone doesn't show up that does that work and you can step in and do that work, by all means, it's rightfully yours. So hopefully I'm telling you, fam, some of the things that you need to think about this off season to scale your business. Come up with a legit, and I'm telling you, I got a legit description of each job position. Line tech 1, line tech 2, line tech 3, crew chief. And they know the difference in each scale of pay. They know it. Now, line tech 1 through line tech 3, they start getting paid when they show up at the property and they clock in at the property. Then they clock out when they finish the last property after cleaning out the truck. Now, my crew chief, they clock in when they go to the storage to pick up the unit. That's the way I do it. And they clock out when they get back to the storage. I don't try to pay people for rides, and I try to cut my costs, and also being fair to myself too, because no one pays me to commute back and forth to work. That's just something I got to do. That's my cost. So, fam, hopefully I'm sharing something with you that you can think about.